San Antonio is a community that belongs to everyone. That's what we have to be, that's what we are, and that's what this ordinance was about.
Motion carries.
After strong words, hours, and weeks of debate, sometimes very heated debate, the San Antonio City Council today approved those controversial changes to the city's non-discrimination ordinance.
Here's how your council members voted on this. Ivy Taylor, Elisa Chan, and Carlton Soules voted against the change to the non-discrimination ordinance. That
was the change about the LGBT community being protected by the non-discrimination ordinance. Now, there was a lot of controversy over this. There was a separate vote about protecting veterans in that ordinance, and in that case, Ray Lopez wanted to make the distinction, so Ivy Taylor was the only one to switch her vote based on that distinction in favor of protection for veterans. And this now goes into effect immediately.
But opponents say the fight is far from over. They are vowing challenges in court. Our Robert Price was there for almost all of the discussion and joins us with your reaction to today's decision.
What do we have? Equal rights! When do we have them? Now!
Please vote. Motion carries.
Cheers and boos, the expected reactions, no matter the outcome of the City Council's votes. But in this case, with the non-discrimination ordinance passing by a vote of 8-3, it was the supporters in red doing the cheering.
All I can say is, yes, we did.
I'm overjoyed. We are full citizens today.
Hugs and tears, an emotional day, they say, that's been a long time coming.
It's going to cause a sea change in thinking about how we treat fellow Texans.
It's always been about people being treated equally.
And we finally have come out of this with equality.
However, for those in blue, the opponents of this ordinance, the ones who spoke so passionately about preserving their religious freedoms, the fight is by no means over.
This whole council needs to go with the exception of Chan and Soules.
We want them to have equal rights. Of course we do. We love them. But we want our equal rights as well.
Late nights, long hours, record crowds. Both sides, more than 2,000 people from across the city, committed their time to these meetings, waiting patiently to make their case to the council. Now the council's had its say.
He's just divided the city.
I'm blessed to be a witness to full inclusion in the city of San Antonio for non-discrimination. Thank you.
Robert Price, News 4 San Antonio.
So just what does the non-discrimination ordinance cover? Well, here's a look at the issue. As we said earlier, that ordinance extends protection to the members of the LGBT community and to veterans. Before, the ordinance stated that people could not be discriminated against for their race, age, gender, or disability, but now it is much more specific. Supporters say this will only apply when you're doing business with the city, looking for housing, or when you're in a public place. It does include exceptions for churches. Meanwhile, opponents say the language isn't specific enough and that churches and private businesses could be sued for not following the rules because they are public places too.
Today's decision came after a lot of discussion. As you heard there, more than 2,000 people voiced their concerns at these meetings in front of city leaders.
And while citizens have been very vocal, there are two city leaders who have been at the center of this ordinance controversy.
That's Councilman Diego Bernal, who introduced this ordinance, and another councilwoman, Elisa Chan, who is at the center of that secret recording scandal when discussing it with her aides. News 4's Melissa Vega continues our team coverage on this story.
When Councilman Diego Bernal introduced amendments to the city's non-discrimination ordinance back in May, he knew there would be obstacles.
The moment that I submitted the CCR, there were already people at City Hall, literally 3 hours later, protesting what I was doing.
To some, Bernal is being hailed a hero. Others are signing a petition to have him thrown out of office.
I am trying, and this ordinance does, ensure that everybody in our community is treated equally.
Bernal hasn't been the only city council member with controversy.
It's been a very interesting 20 days.
After the council's vote, we sat down with Councilwoman Elisa Chan.
And I think that is kind of disappointing.
Chan came under fire recently when she was discussing Bernal's amendments to the ordinance with her staff.
So what kind of marriage life?
In a confidential meeting in her city office, Chan was secretly recorded by a former staff member making anti-gay remarks. Chan still stands behind her beliefs.
I had to deal with the betrayal. I had to deal with really trying to ask myself, did I do really anything wrong? But I came to the conclusion that no.
The councilwoman says she was very surprised last week when her supporters gave her a standing ovation as she took her seat on the first public hearing on the ordinance.
I do get a lot of positive emails, but I have to say that I also have received a lot of very, very nasty.
Chan, who voted against the ordinance, made a motion to table the vote for another day, saying there were still gray areas. While Councilwoman Chan and Councilman Bernal are on opposite sides of this ordinance, they're both standing for what they believe in. Melissa Vega, News 4, San Antonio.
If you would like to read more on the non-discrimination ordinance, we have a fact sheet posted on our website, News 4 San Antonio.